Welcome to Good Advice Givers, the podcast where real stories meet real solutions. Whether you're leveling up in life, navigating your hustle, or simply looking for wisdom that works, you're in the right place. We bring you straight talk, actionable tips, and uplifting conversations to help you grow in mindset, money, and motivation. Don't just listen, tune in weekly, download your favorite episodes, and if you love what you hear, donate to support the mission. Your support helps us keep sharing the good advice that changes lives. We're building a community of thinkers, doers, dreamers, and believers, and we want you in it. From interviews with entrepreneurs and creatives to personal reflections on real-world challenges, every episode is packed with practical value. Ready to grow with us? Let's get into it.
You know that moment, something big happens, or, well, maybe might be happening, and you just get that urge, Grab your phone, type it straight into the search bar. We all do it.
Absolutely. It's basically our reflex now for understanding what's going on. What does it all mean?
Well, today we're diving into a topic that clearly sparked a lot of that exact kind of curiosity. The passing of Pope Francis in 2025.
Yeah.
And just the wave of questions that follow an event like that. So momentous.
Exactly. And we're trying to look, a bit deeper than just the headlines, aren't we? We've got the news article, sure, the formal story.
Right.
Maybe even more interesting, we've looked at the raw stuff, the unfiltered questions people were actually typing online.
Yeah, those search queries, things like, next pope or conclave. They give us this amazing, real-time picture of what's genuinely on people's minds. So our mission here really is to get past just reporting the news and really understand the main things people were interested in, concerned about when thinking about the pope's passing and, the whole papal succession thing.
It was fascinating, right away, is just how many questions were laser focused on Pope Francis himself. Really direct stuff.
Like what specifically jumped out at you?
Well, the most common ones were incredibly blunt. Pope Francis' death. Did the Pope die? Even just, is the Pope dead?
Wow.
It just really shows that basic human need for, immediate factual answers when things feel uncertain.
It's quite striking, isn't it? It's not just vague worry. It's a hunt for a yes or no.
Precisely. And you see that urgency ramped up in searches that pin down dates like Pope died 2025 or did the Pope die on Easter? That kind of specificity, even when, maybe there wasn't official news yet when they searched, it just highlights how fast information or maybe misinformation can spread and become this focus point online.
Right. People are trying to nail down a moment in time, even if the details aren't fully out there yet. And it wasn't just the immediate life or death question, was it? Health concerns were popping up too.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Searches for Pope Francis' health were pretty common. And we even saw specific terms like pneumonia showing up. Now, obviously, it's crucial to say a search term isn't a diagnosis.
No, of course not.
But it absolutely reflects worries that were floating around or maybe rumors people were trying to check out.
So, okay, we can't take those as medical fact, but they point to a specific area people were worried about. And really underneath it all, just the sheer number of, is Pope Francis still alive? Searches.
Yeah.
It just hammers home that central question, driving so much of that initial curiosity.
And it wasn't just about the present moment either. There was also a noticeable interest in the timeline of events. Even hypothetical ones.
What kind of timing questions were you seeing?
A lot of, when did Pope Francis die?
Whoa.
What time did the Pope die? What day did Pope Francis die? It's almost like people are mentally bracing themselves for the news, trying to fit it into a specific structure, even before anything's official.
That's a really good point. It's like a collective attempt to build a timeline in their heads. And that focus on when also stretched to his time in office, didn't it?
Exactly. Searches like, how long was Pope Francis Pope and when did Pope Francis become Pope? They suggest people want to place his papacy in context, understand how long it lasted in the bigger picture, maybe as a way to grasp the weight of potential change.
Right, to sort of frame his time as Pope as we think about what comes next. But the searching definitely didn't end with just questions about Pope Francis. There was a very clear, very quick shift towards the future.
Oh, absolutely. The focus snapped pretty fast to who might succeed him.
The searches really showed that anticipation, didn't they? I mean, phrases like who will be the next pope, new pope, who's the new pope, they were everywhere. And then even more specific ones like who will be the next pope after Pope Francis and who will succeed Pope Francis? That succession question was obviously huge.
It's a remarkably fast pivot, isn't it? From worrying about the current pope to intense guesswork about his successor.
Yeah.
And tied right into that is how often the word conclave popped up in searches.
Conclave. Okay. For anyone listening who might not be totally sure, can you give us a quick rundown? What is that?
Sure. So the conclave is the traditional and very secret meeting of the College of Cardinals.
Got it.
They get together specifically to elect a new pope. It's this ancient ritual, super strict rules about secrecy and, the famous white smoke signaling they've picked someone.
Why the white smoke?
It all creates this moment of intense global focus.
Okay. So not just some casual vote, it's a specific historical process. And people were also digging into the timing of this conclave too, right?
Absolutely. Tons of queries like, when will the next pope be elected? When will the conclave begin? When does the conclave start? And even, how long does it take to elect a new pope? This shows people get that picking a new pope isn't instant. It follows a set procedure, and there's usually an expected time frame.
So there's definitely an awareness of a process, a timeline involved, and then naturally the speculation kicks in. Who are the likely candidates?
Exactly. The guessing game begins. Looking at the search data, we saw several names popping up a lot. Luis Antonio Tecolo, sometimes spelled Cardinal Tagle.
Okay.
Cardinal Dolan, Cardinal Kevin Farrell, Cardinal Sarah Pietro Parolin. Sometimes that came up as Cardinal Petro Parolin.
Interesting variations.
Yeah, and Timothy Dolan, sometimes just Timothy Dolan.
Right, these are definitely names you hear often in discussions about potential successors, the papabili, as they sometimes call them.
The popables.
Exactly. It's that informal term for cardinals, seen as potential candidates. The fact these names show up so much in searches probably just reflects the media coverage and expert opinions people are seeing.
And it wasn't only specific names. There were also broader searches showing just a general interest in the whole field of potential candidates.
What kind of broader searches did you see?
Phrases like next pope candidates, who is likely to be the next pope, candidates for next pope, and even just who will replace Pope Francis.
Right.
It suggests people are trying to get a handle on who's in the running, what the overall landscape looks like.
It really does feel like this global guessing game, trying to predict the next leader for the Catholic Church. We even saw searches like next pope odds, like people are trying to handicap the race.
Well, that's a natural human thing, isn't it? Trying to predict big outcomes.
It's true.
And those perceived odds, they often reflect a mix of things, someone standing in the church hierarchy, their perceived influence, that sort of thing.
Now, you mentioned context earlier, and it's interesting how we also saw searches looking back at previous popes.
Yes, that historical angle is quite telling.
We saw searches for Pope John Paul II and Pope Benedict XVI, his immediate predecessors, and specifically questions about Pope Benedict's death, like when did Pope Benedict die?
Yeah, and simpler ones too, like who was the pope before Pope Francis? Even the phrase the two popes, which, could be about the movie.
Right, the film.
Just that time when both Benedict and Francis were alive. These look-back searches, they suggest people are trying to place Pope Francis within the longer story of the papacy.
Exactly. It's like trying to understand his time in relation to recent history, maybe draw comparisons with the popes before him.
Yeah.
It gives a framework for understanding his papacy, maybe even for thinking about what qualities might be looked for next.
And it's not just past popes. There were also searches digging into Pope Francis's own personal background.
Oh, yeah. Like what kind of details were people looking for?
His birth name, Jorge Mario Bergoglio, came up a lot. Along with Argentina and Buenos Aires, where he's from. And the term Jesuit also appeared quite frequently. These context searches are pretty key to understanding the person behind the title. Being a Jesuit, for instance, that's a huge part of his theological view, his leadership style, how he engages with social issues.
That's a really important point. The Jesuit order has such a distinct history.
Exactly. Known for intellectual rigor, commitment to social justice. It definitely informs his approach.
Yeah, his background clearly shaped his papacy. Now, switching back to the actual process, the mechanics of what happens next.
Right.
We saw plenty of questions about that too.
Yes. Definitely a public curiosity about how the church actually works, governance-wise. Searches like, what happens when the pope dies? How do they pick a new pope? And how do they choose a new pope? Were really common.
It really shows people want to understand the nuts and bolts of the church during such a critical moment.
Precisely. And seeing terms like College of Cardinals and Papal Conclave pop up shows there's at least some public awareness of the key groups involved. Right. The College of Cardinals, just for clarity, is that group of senior clergy, mostly bishops, the Pope appoints. They're his main advisors, and crucially, they're the ones who elect his successor.
And it seems like location was also on people's minds during this time.
Yes, several key spots within the Vatican were searched for, often.
Like where exactly?
Well, obviously Vatican and Vatican City were big.
Sure.
But also more specific places like Casa Santa Marta, which is where Pope Francis lives, the Sistine Chapel, the iconic spot for the conclave, and St. Peter's Basilica. These places are just so central to the church administration, worship, history, so it makes total sense they'd feature heavily in searches during a potential transition.
They're the physical heart of it all. And maybe unsurprisingly, news outlets played a massive role.
Oh, absolutely. The searches were just loaded with references to all sorts of news organizations.
We saw the generic stuff like news and breaking news, right?
Yeah.
But also very specific outlets, CNN, Vatican News, ABC, BBC, National Catholic Register, Reuters, AP, Fox News, CBS, New York Times, NYT too.
Yeah, Newsmax, EWTN, Yahoo, lots of them.
NBC, Associated Press. Just a huge list. And then direct searches too, like Pope Francis News and even Papa Francisco News.
That sheer volume and the variety of news sources mentioned just underlines the huge global interest.
Totally.
People rely heavily on the media for updates about his health and any potential change. It also maybe suggests people are looking for different angles, comparing sources.
Yeah, casting a wide net to stay informed. Now, some of the related names and topics that surfaced were pretty interesting too.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, we saw searches like J.D. Vance meets Pope. And then questions spinning off that, like, is J.D. Vance Catholic? It kind of shows how events involving the Pope can cross over into, wider political chat, sparking curiosity about connections between public figures and the church.
Yeah, that makes sense. Encounters between the Pope and political figures often get a lot of attention. It highlights his role on the world stage beyond just religion.
And then there was that really fascinating search term, the last Pope.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Hey there. Welcome to Good Advice Giver. First, we want to start by saying a massive thank you for tuning in today. Whether you're a long-time listener or you're joining us for the first time, we're truly grateful to have you here. We know you've got a lot of options when it comes to podcasts, so the fact that you're spending your time with us means the world. So thank you.
That's right. We're excited to have you with us because here on Good Advice Giver, we cover just about everything. Whether you're interested in sports, relationships, sex, money, finances, business, digital marketing, music, education, movies, comedy, or something else entirely, we've got it all. No topic is off limits here, and we dive deep into real, meaningful conversations that matter.
We've also got a mix of male and female hosts, so you're always getting a well-rounded perspective on every topic we cover, from business strategies to personal development. From car shopping to digital products like affiliate marketing, we bring a little bit of everything to the table. Our goal is to offer advice, insights, and some laughs along the way to make sure you feel welcome and engaged, no matter what brought you here.
And it doesn't stop there. We're not just about giving great advice, we're about action. On this podcast, we even sell products and services we believe in, from affiliate marketing opportunities to cars and more. So whether you're looking to boost your business or find practical ways to improve your everyday life, you're in the right place.
As always, we want you to stay connected with us. Be sure to download this episode so you can listen anytime, anywhere, whether you're commuting, working out, or just relaxing. And while you're at it, follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you name it. That's the best way to stay in the loop for upcoming episodes, behind-the-scenes content, and even giveaways.
And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're posting extra content there, including video podcasts and deep dive discussions you won't want to miss. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what topics you want to hear more about.
Lastly, Check out the link below in the description for exclusive offers, resources, and more ways to connect with us. We're here for you, and we can't wait to bring you more valuable content. Thanks again for tuning in to Good Advice Giver. Let's get started.
The last pope. Yeah, that likely taps into all sorts of prophecies, maybe more esoteric stuff.
Right.
Reflecting a more, let's say, unconventional kind of curiosity about the papacy.
Connecting to those old prophecies and ideas. We also saw a lot of searches that felt more personal about Pope Francis himself.
What kind of personal things were people looking up?
Things like Pope Francis quotes, his teachings, his age, Pope Francis' age, even Pope Francis' net worth, which always seems like a slightly odd one in this context, but it pops up. Also searches about his recent activities, Pope Francis' last appearance, his final words, Pope Francis' last words, and even the pretty somber question, where will Pope Francis be buried?
Those personal searches, they just show a natural human interest in the person holding such a massive role. People are curious about his life, his ideas, and yes, the details around his eventual passing, including those traditions like papal burial.
And finally, we also saw those broader general terms like just popes, pope history, and Catholic Church showing a kind of baseline interest in the whole institution.
Right.
And then loads of very direct, almost informal searches like pope dead, pope dies, pope passed away. Plus, actually, a surprising number of typos and variations on his name, like Pope Francos, Pope Fernassus, all sorts.
Yeah, that huge range of searches, from the very formal to the super casual, the specific to the general. It really highlights two things, doesn't it?
What's that?
One, the enduring global fascination with the papacy as an institution.
Yeah.
And two, that very immediate, almost urgent need for up-to-the-minute info during a time of potential change.
Okay, so pulling this all together, after digging through all these searches in the news context, what are the main takeaways? What does it all tell us?
I think you can boil it down to a few key areas of intense public focus. First, there's that very immediate direct concern about Pope Francis' status. The basic question, is he still alive?
Right, the fundamental question.
Second, if a transition is happening, there's a huge focus on the timing. When did it happen? Or when might it? Third, a clear curiosity about the process, or the complex, maybe slightly mysterious process of picking a new pope, especially the conclave. And finally, maybe the most visible thing is just widespread speculation about who's next, who are the front runners.
So immediate status, timing, the selection process, and potential successors.
Exactly. These search patterns, they really give us this fascinating, unfiltered peek into the global consciousness around such a key figure and, such a historically huge institution.
Yeah.
It shows this mix, people wanting clear, fast information, but also being aware of and curious about these long-established procedures. And, of course, that very human habit of looking ahead and wondering what's coming.
It really is a snapshot of a world watching, waiting, and wondering, isn't it? So maybe for everyone listening, as you keep following the news, maybe doing your own searches, just think about the incredible historical weight, the global impact of choosing a new leader for over 1 billion people.
Yeah.
It's this ancient process playing out right now in our super modern, super connected world. Hopefully this deep dive has given you a bit more insight into the kinds of questions being asked and maybe why they matter. You know how sometimes a big question pops into your head and, the first thing you do is grab your phone and type it into a search bar?
Oh, absolutely. Happens all the time.
Well, today we're diving into a topic that's clearly on a lot of minds right now, Pope Francis. We've been looking at what you've actually been searching for, the news headlines you're seeing, and the terms that are really spiking things like conclave, next pope, even specific names of potential successors.
Right. It's fascinating, really, to see this real-time snapshot of, public curiosity and concern.
Yeah, and our mission here isn't just to, list what's out there, but to really try and understand what it all means, to get beyond the simple headlines.
Exactly. And we've certainly observed a significant number of searches focusing right on the Pope's well-being.
Yeah, what kind of things?
Queries like Pope Francis' death, or did the Pope die? Even just, is the Pope dead? They're appearing really frequently.
Wow, very direct.
Very direct. And these questions, they really highlight a fundamental need people have for just current information. straight answers.
Okay, let's maybe unpack this a bit. What really struck me looking at these first searches is just how immediate they are, how factual people want the answers to be. You're not just asking about his health generally. It's that blunt, did he die question. Sometimes even with specific dates, right? Like Pope died 2025, or I saw, did the Pope die on Easter?
Yes, exactly. That points to a real urgency, doesn't it? A desire to know the situation now.
Definitely.
And this immediacy, it suggests people are looking for definitive answers, probably in what feels like a really fast-moving news cycle.
And we're seeing health concerns too, right? Not just the life or death question.
That's right. Related health concerns are surfacing. Searches for Pope Francis' health generally, but also specific things like pneumonia are appearing.
Okay, but just to be clear, seeing pneumonia in a search doesn't mean that's a confirmed diagnosis or anything.
Oh, absolutely not. But it does show maybe a particular concern or rumor that's circulating, something people have heard and are checking.
Gotcha.
And really, at its core, the sheer number of searches for, is Pope Francis still alive? Just underscores the central question on seemingly everyone's mind.
And it's not just about right now, is it? I noticed a really specific interest in, the timing of things. Explain that.
Well, queries like, when did Pope Francis die? What time did the Pope die? Even what day did Pope Francis die? They're really common. It's almost like people are trying to pinpoint a specific moment it might have happened, even though, there's been no official announcement of anything like that.
That's a really interesting point. It's like preparing for the information almost. And this focus on the when, it also stretches to his time in office, doesn't it?
Yeah, I saw that too. Searches like, how long was Pope Francis Pope and when did Pope Francis become Pope? Right. Which suggests maybe a desire to understand the duration of his papacy, perhaps as a way to contextualize any potential transition.
Yeah.
Putting it in perspective.
Okay, but the search activity, it definitely doesn't stop with just questions about Pope Francis himself.
No, not at all.
There's this really strong pivot towards the future. I mean, the searches are just full of anticipation.
Like what?
Things like, who will be the next pope, new pope, who's the new pope, and then even more specific ones like, who will be the next pope after Pope Francis, and who will succeed Pope Francis?
Yeah. The succession question, it's clearly a major point of interest.
It's almost immediate, the shift.
It is.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating there is how quickly that focus shifts. The term conclave also pops up frequently in searches connected to succession.
Right. Conclave. Can you quickly explain that?
Sure. So for anyone unfamiliar, the conclave is that very traditional, highly secretive meeting of the College of Cardinals. They gather specifically to elect a new pope.
Got it. And people are asking about the timing of that too.
Oh, yeah. People are definitely inquiring about the timeline. We see, when will the next pope be elected? When will the conclave begin? When does the conclave start? And even how long does it take to elect a new pope?
So there's an awareness, it's a whole process?
Exactly. It shows an understanding that this isn't just random. It's a structured process.
Yeah.
And it has a kind of expected duration, more or less.
And then, of course, the speculation starts. Who's it going to be?
Right. The guessing game.
Your searches, our searches, they're bringing up quite a few names. Things like Luis Antonio Tagle, Cardinal Dolan, Cardinal Kevin Farrell, Cardinal Sarah,
Yeah.
Cardinal Tagle, Timothy Dolan, Cardinal Pietro Parolin. Lots of variations on those names.
Those are indeed names that often circulate in these kinds of discussions about potential successors. The Papabili, as they're sometimes called.
Right.
The fact that they're appearing so much in searches probably reflects the media coverage people are seeing, expert opinions they've read or heard.
And it's not just names, right? There are broader searches too.
Yeah, we also see things like next pope candidates, or who is likely to be the next pope, or candidates for next pope. It shows a general interest in just who's in the running. What's the field look like?
It really is like a global guessing game. I mean, we're even seeing searches like next pope odds, who will replace Pope Francis. It suggests people are trying to figure out who the front runners might be.
Well, that's probably a natural human thing, isn't it? Yeah. Trying to predict the outcome of really big, significant events.
True.
And these odds, they often reflect a mix of things, perceived influence, maybe.
Yeah.
The standing of these individuals within the church hierarchy, things like that.
Now, it's interesting you mentioned context before, because there's also a bit of looking back happening in the searches.
Ah, okay. How so?
We're seeing searches for Pope John Paul II and Pope Benedict XVI.
Right, his predecessors.
Yeah, and specifically queries about Pope Benedict's death too. When did Pope Benedict die, for instance? There's also the simple, who was the Pope before Pope Francis, and even the phrase, the two popes.
Right, which could refer to the movie or the actual situation for a while there.
Could be either. But it suggests people are trying to place Pope Francis within a kind of historical timeline, you know?
Yes, I think if we connect this to the bigger picture, these searches really show an effort to understand the current papacy in relation to recent history. Remembering his predecessors, it gives a framework maybe for understanding Pope Francis's own time as Pope.
And maybe for thinking about what comes next.
Exactly. Perhaps anticipating what qualities or, approaches might be sought in his successor.
We also see searches that give us a bit more personal background on Francis himself, like Jorge Mario Bergoglio.
His birth name, yeah.
Along with Argentina and Buenos Aires. And the term Jesuit comes up quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. And these contextual searches, they're really key to understanding the man, behind the title.
How so? The Jesuit part.
Well, his identity as a Jesuit, for example, that's seen as a really significant aspect of his approach to theology, to leadership, to social issues.
Yeah.
The Jesuit order has this long, distinct history within the church. They're often known for a focus on intellectual rigor, but also social justice.
Okay, interesting. Now, getting back to the mechanics of it all, the what happens next part.
Right.
People are asking, what happens when the Pope dies? And how do they pick a new pope? Or how do they choose a new pope?
Yeah.
There's clearly a desire there to understand the actual process.
This raises an important point, I think, about the level of public understanding or maybe curiosity about how the church is governed.
Mm-hmm.
The search terms, College of Cardinals and Papal Conclave showing up, that indicates at least some awareness of the key institutions involved.
Right, the College of Cardinals. Who are they exactly?
So they're essentially a body of senior clergy, mostly bishops, who are appointed by the Pope. They serve as his main advisors, but crucially, they have the responsibility of electing his successor. That's their biggest role, arguably.
And location seems to be on people's minds, too.
Ah, interesting. Where?
Well, obvious ones like Vatican, Vatican City, but also Casa Santa Marta.
Where Pope Francis lives, yeah.
Right. And Sistine Chapel, obviously important for the conclave, and St. Peter's Basilica.
Makes sense. Those locations are just central to the Catholic Church, aren't they? They're the hubs of administration, worship, history, everything.
So their prominence in searches makes sense.
Absolutely. Especially in the context of a potential papal transition. That's where the action happens, so to speak.
And naturally, news is a massive part of this whole picture.
Oh, undoubtedly.
I mean, the search queries are just packed with news outlets. Generic ones like news, breaking news, but also specific ones, CNN, Vatican News, ABC News, BBC News, even outlets like National Catholic Register or Reuters, NAT, all the big ones.
Mm-hmm. Fox News, CBS.
Yeah, tons of them. And direct searches too, like Pope Francis News or even Papa Francisco News.
The sheer volume of those news-related searches, it just underscores the huge global interest in Pope Francis, doesn't it? And the widespread reliance on media for any kind of updates.
Totally. Now, some of the related figures and topics that pop up are quite interesting too.
Like what?
Well, we see J.D. Vance meets Pope, and then related questions about his religion. Is J.D. Vance Catholic? Things like that.
Okay.
It just shows how these papal events can kind of intersect with broader political or public discourse, you know?
Yes, encounters between the Pope and, public figures often generate that kind of interest and maybe speculation. It highlights the Pope's role on the world stage beyond just the church.
We also see a few other names like Peter Turkson, Jonathan Pryce.
Probably from the Two Popes movie again.
Likely. And the really intriguing search term, the last Pope.
That one likely connects to various sort of interpretations and prophecies throughout history. It reflects maybe a more esoteric kind of curiosity surrounding the papacy sometimes. Nostradamus predictions, things like that.
Right. We also see a more personal interest in Pope Francis himself. People searching for Pope Francis quotes.
His teachings, yeah.
His age, Pope Francis' age. Even Pope Francis' net worth, which is always a strange one for a pope.
Always comes up, yeah.
Questions about his last appearance or last words. And then the rather somber query, where will Pope Francis be buried?
These personal searches, they reveal that, natural human curiosity about the individual, don't they? The person holding this really significant office, people are interested in his life, his words, and, the details surrounding his eventual passing, including those traditions of papal burial.
And finally, there are just broader terms floating around, things like popes, pope history, Catholic Church.
General interest?
Yeah, and a lot of very direct, almost informal queries, just Pope dead, or Pope dies, Pope passed away.
Very blunt.
Yeah, plus loads of variations and misspellings, Pope Francis, Pope Francis. It's a real mix of formal and informal ways of asking.
And that wide array, I think it demonstrates both things simultaneously. That general, enduring interest in the institution of the papacy itself, and also a very immediate, almost urgent need for up-to-the-minute information, however you phrase the question.
Okay. So taking all of this in, this whole stream of searches and questions, what are the main takeaways from this deep dive? What does it really tell us?
Well, I think it really seems to boil down to a few core areas of intense interest.
Okay.
First, there's that very direct concern about Pope Francis's current status. Just, is he okay? Is he alive?
Right. The fundamental question.
Second, if a transition were to happen, people are very focused on the timing of that event. When did it or when might it occur?
The when. Got it.
Third, there's a real curiosity about the intricate process of selecting a new pope, particularly that whole mechanism of the conclave. How does it actually work? And finally, maybe most prominently in some ways, there's just widespread speculation about who the potential successors might be. Who's next?
The who. So status, timing, process, and successors.
That's a very accurate summary, I think. These search trends, they offer this fascinating glimpse into the global consciousness, really, surrounding such a pivotal figure and, frankly, a pivotal institution.
Yeah.
It reveals, I think, a desire for clear information, definitely an awareness or at least curiosity about the established procedures, and just that natural human interest in what the future might hold for the Catholic Church.
It truly is a snapshot of a world watching and waiting and wondering. So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. As you continue to see headlines or maybe even type more questions into that search bar yourself, perhaps consider the immense historical weight, and the worldwide implications of selecting a new leader for over 1 billion people.
It's huge.
It's this ancient process unfolding right here in our very modern, very connected world. Hopefully this deep dive has given everyone a bit of a clearer lens, maybe, through which to view any future developments.
Today is your lucky day. Today is the day that our $3 website works for you, paying you directly to your PayPal daily. Imagine $3 ongoing continuous payments to your PayPal account. Imagine falling asleep and waking up to $300 in your PayPal account. How would this make you feel? How could this help you? What bills could you pay? What kind of fun could you have? What does that retirement look like now? All for a one-time payment of $3. This website is DFY done for you, fully built and completely hosted, and never stops collecting payments for you. You have spent $3 on coffee on a regular, but that coffee won't help you create multiple streams of income. Click the link below.